South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is defending China's involvement in Africa, saying the continent's relationships with Beijing is entering a golden age. Ramaphosa was speaking at the close of a two-day China-Africa summit in Beijing, during which China pledged $60 billion in new development financing for African countries. At the start of the summit, President Ramaphosa called for ways to resolve the trade imbalance between China and Africa. Beijing faces increasing criticism over its debt-heavy African projects, but Ramaphosa says the economic value of Africa's relationship with China is becoming more important in an increasingly uncertain global environment.
China is open, but not only open, it wants to open the access to its market for value-added goods from Africa. Many countries have the sense that in China we have a meaningful partner who is not just there to rape and plunder resources from the African continent, but a partner who wants to assist the fellow partners to reach higher levels of industrialization.
Well, Ramaphosa rejected the view that a new form of colonialism is taking place in Africa.
Refuting and debunking this notion that is propagated by people who are envious and jealous of this relationship, that it's a new colonialism. There's no new colonialism. This is a relationship that has its roots deep in history.
Well, for analysis on China-Africa relations, ex-N Iraqi, a senior economics lecturer at the University of Nairobi, joins me by phone from Nairobi. Good evening, Dr. Iraqi.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine. Now, African leaders are telling their citizens that they should not be worried at all about this relationship with China. But there are people who are saying it looks like we may be getting into a trap here, especially with the huge debts or huge interests. What is your take as an economist?
The issue of debt, Chinese debt in Africa, has been very contentious. A lot of people are saying that China is going to use debt to trap African countries and plunder their resources. But I don't believe it, because every country, most of the countries in the world have developed by getting some debt. We also develop ourselves by getting some debt. So I think the most important thing is for African countries to put the money they get from China into good use, make the economies more productive. But in the long run, they will not need any debt from China or from anywhere else. Develop the economies and take care of their citizens. I don't think we need to fear that.
But how about the observation that in most of this big infrastructure developments, the African nations don't seem to have a say. China seems to be kind of doing whatever they want, whichever way they want, and yet Africa is going to pay for it in the long run.
It's very simple. When a country wants to come up with a project in Africa, whether it is in Kenya or Uganda or whichever country, it is important for African leaders and the policy makers to negotiate, not just take whatever they are given. Just because somebody is giving you money does not mean that you should do whatever you are told. So I think I blame African leaders and the policy makers for not negotiating well enough for the projects that China is sponsoring.
And in terms of what China is really at the moment getting out of the continent and it's this very heavy investment, what's your take? Some people look at a country like Kenya and say, what does China want from Kenya? What does China want from Uganda?
I think China is doing what any other country do, pursue its interests. Those interests don't always tally with most countries' interests. So China has been developing very fast in the last 30 years. I think they have saturated the whole market, so they're looking for new markets. Industrialization needs sources of raw materials. They must look for those raw materials wherever they can be found. So China is just pursuing its interests like any other country, the same way we individually pursue our own interests. So China is not doing anything different from what America has done, what Germany has done, or other countries in the world. They have always pursued their interests.
And in terms of the accusation that they might be having some kind of semblance of colonialism in some way indirectly.
I don't think China is ever going to become a colonial power anytime for one simple reason. China has never been a colonial power. It has no experience running a colony. In fact, China, like Africa, has been a victim of other colonial powers. The Portuguese were in Macau. The Japanese came to Manchuria. The British came to Hong Kong. So China is a victim like Africa of colonialism. So I don't understand why China would ever dream of becoming a colonial power.
So you're happy with, you're comfortable mostly with China's investment and involvement with African countries?
As long as they are productive to both the countries, as long as what Chinese leaders are saying is implemented, the win-win policy. If they can do that, I have no problem.
Wow. Great. We'll be observing this. It's a long-term thing. Dr. Iraki, we do appreciate very much your insight. Our thanks.
Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you.